I think the reason that I've focused so much on things like awe, wonder, beauty, grace is by holding on to those things, it's kept me sane because you're remembering the best of the world, the natural world around us and awe and so on, but you're also remembering the best of what it is to be human.
Yeah, there's an American poet named William Stafford, and he tells a story about he has adult children, they're all home, and it's like Thanksgiving or Christmas or something, and he and his wife go to bed, and the kids stay up, and they're hanging out in the living room or the dining room table, just talking till late at night. And he's laying in bed with his wife, and he says to her, "This is the eulogy that we get to hear." Mm-hmm. Like your kids being together, your house being full.
Yes, that's it.
That sort of last moment.
Yeah.
Everything that comes after is for everyone else, but those moments where you're together and there's connection. Or sort of we think of awe as simply being, like a bird or something in the water or like some natural phenomenon. Yeah, but it's also moments like that.
Those small moments, yeah. I mean, it's also music and art and anything that kind of can stop you in your tracks.
Yeah.
And make you think and marvel a little bit.
Yeah.
But there is a sense of awe in love, like that's what you're describing.
Yes.
In that family setting.
Yeah, the unspoken communication, the sense that he woke up exactly before, there's just there's something mystical and mysterious.
Yeah.
And as much a phenomena as flight or, a flower.
Yeah.
There's something to that, I think.
I agree. And it's also like everything.
Yeah. It's funny, like obviously the ancient world was full of death and they become sort of inured to it, but some of the most beautiful writings from the Stoics. Seneca writes these essays on grief. They survived to they're called consolations. He writes these letters. And I sort of reread them whenever someone I care about passes on. And one of the passages I think about all the time, he's writing to this woman who lost her father and who he had known. And he was saying, wherever your father is now, what would he want his memory to invoke in you?
Yeah.
Like obviously when you die, it would be weird if nobody missed you. Yeah. But like if your memory filled people with sadness and anguish and despair, or that feeling of why me, why was he taken from me? Like that would in a weird way be kind of a repudiation of your life. You would want the memory of you to bring happiness.
Yeah.
And I like the logic of that is such a Stoic way of thinking about it, but I think about that all the time. How would they want you to feel when you think of them?
To think of them, exactly.
And sadness is not even on the list of top 10 emotions that I would want my kids to think about if I was gone.
Exactly. Grief is something that we don't necessarily deal with very well. And people often say, you've got to get over it, you've got to move on, you've got to get to the next phase, whereas actually often you're permanently changed. Sure. And it's one of the things I loved about Queen Victoria. She continues to be criticised to this day because she grieved. So she was very melodramatic in her grief and it went on for a very long time and she didn't appear in public. But I like how spectacularly she insisted on her right to grieve.
Yeah.
Thereby enabling a whole other bunch of women in her times who also were widows and were used to then being just, put out in the back parlour.
Yeah.
Your time as a functional human was over and she insisted it wasn't. But I've been thinking a lot about one thing that my mother said to me, which was that when I was a kid, which was if anything ever happens to me and I have and we've like you've just said something you regret or done something or haven't done something and I want you to know I forgive you and I love you.
Wow.
And
what a gift.
That's such a gift because I think a lot of people when they think about someone they've lost, they wish they've done more or they'd been more or they hadn't said something. And I think it's really important to release each other from that and go fundamentally. I've said this to my kids again recently. They're like, yep, okay. But it's important I think that's really important to hold on to. Something I've been thinking about lately is last moments. Mm-hmm. There was a column in the New York Times about could this be the last, about growing older and should you grow older gracefully or disgracefully and, the same old things, enjoy every moment and so on. And someone wrote in and it was this really poignant, beautiful thing because she said that she was coming back and spent the day minding her grandkids, and her grandkids, she'd been making Play-Doh with them, and she got home at the end of the day and took her shoes off, and in the tread was pushed this Play-Doh. And she was like, that's so annoying. I remember how that used to be with my kids. And then she paused and was like, well, actually, how long will these little ones want me to make Play-Doh with them? And when was the last time I'll actually be able to do that?
Yeah.
And just to have joy in that. And it got me thinking about kind of the last time we ever kind of say or do something. And the other, Elizabeth Strout wrote about it in Lucy by the Sea. The last time you pick up your kid.
Yes.
When is that? Mm-hmm. And then, but the more you think about it, every day is full of those last times.
Yeah. No, someone was pointing out to me that there's something wonderful about watching your kids grow up, but there's also this grief because as great as my, 7-year-old going on 8-year-old is, the 6-year-old version of him is gone.
Right.
And the 5-year-old version is gone.
Yeah.
And you, since he has a younger brother who's a little more than 2 years younger, you're reminded constantly of that person that's gone also. Mm-hmm. And so there is this kind of perpetual grief. There's a brilliant poem about how the seasons, we think of the new season coming and how wonderful it is, the flowers or the whatever, but you're not thinking of the winter that's gone forever.
Right.
And that there is kind of a sadness of the changing of seasons there too. If you're not paying attention. So whenever I'm clipping their nails or I take them for a haircut or their clothes don't fit, I think of what that is an illustration of is the passage of time that never comes back.
Yeah. I was trying to think, when was the last time I picked up my kid? So he's 15. I got 2 kids, but my son is 15, and he used to really just love to hold on to me as I did housework. Yeah. He was just like a little koala, and he had this morning dance. He was such a morning person. He'd be like, morning dance, morning. And I was like, I'm not a morning person, so that was always amusing to me. And today he's on school holidays and he was out. There's shaving cream in the bathroom. He was running a bath and he was eating fried chicken in the bath and watching Netflix.
Yeah.
And he was calling out to me like this. He was like, Mom. I was like, dude, your voice. And it's just a long way from the morning dance,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the absurdity and the insanity of it.
Yeah, who is this creature who's constantly growing, but how great.
Jeannie Gaffigan, she's the wife of the comedian Jim Gaffigan. She was talking about the Play-Doh thing. She was saying that, you may have just missed it. Did your kids play with slime?
Oh, yes.
She was like, she ends up getting a brain tumor and she thinks she might die. And she was realizing that she spent all her time, she says, engaging in control of the slime, not in playing with the slime. Right. So, it's like, hey, no, you can't play with this on the table. It has to be in a thing. No, you're going to get it on the floor. Like you spend all the energy trying to put up guardrails and boundaries to keep the house clean.
There's a reason for that, Mom. That slime
it's
sucks.
Disgusting. It's the worst. But what you're missing and what we're so prone to do as adults is just completely slide over the fact that they think this is the most fun and wonderful thing in the world. Like we don't get the joy of it at all. It makes no sense to me. I find it disgusting. The smell is weird, but clearly for them, it's
so fun.
It's beyond fun.
Yeah.
And so but instead of trying to understand why it's so fun, our impulse is to corral the fun.
Yeah.
And to suppress the fun.
Yeah. Well, but then I'll get an image of, what's the Dr. Seuss thing when the kids just go feral in the house?
That's just every day at my house.
Yeah, exactly. It's true though. Maybe slime outside and we should
then
all
it's
play.
like, hey, let's put glitter in the slime. And then it's, it's obviously it's fun because the consequences are not falling on them. But, you're focusing on the consequences, and what you're not thinking about is that at some point it's going to hit you as you go to throw away the slime from the play closet or whatever.
Totally.
That they don't do this anymore. Yeah. And that will make you sad.
Yeah. Being a parent, hey?
Yeah. No, it's funny. I think one thing that's all share in common, another story I added into the obstacles of the way. There's a story about Hemingway. He's in Europe with his wife, and she goes to meet him. She brings all of his writings. He has this meeting with an editor, and she leaves it like on a train. She loses everything that he's worked on, like his whole back catalog.
Oh my gosh.
And he's writing a letter to Ezra Pound after, and he says, look, I know what you're going to tell me, which is that this is for the best and it's going to force me to change and redo it all better. And he says, I know, but I'm not there yet.
Yeah,
You know?
right. Give me some time.
Yeah. And I think it's that way with grief. It's that way with, you know, experiences with your kids. The clarity of it will hit you in retrospect, but it's in the moment. If you can give yourself some of the insight that you know later you're going to have, like later you're going to look back at this and see this as a formative moment. Yeah. Later you're going to look back at this as a wonderful childhood memory.
Yeah.
But right now all you're thinking about is you're tired or you don't want to clean it up, right, or that it's so unfair or that it's so painful. Yeah. So the faster you can get there, the better.
Yeah. I love the last moments idea though.
Yes. Yeah. How will you think about this if this was, it's a way of forcing yourself to get out of the moment and get perspective about the moment,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah, exactly. And not just wish them away because you're tired and they want yet another book.
Yes.
You know that thing you sometimes do with a book and then you double the pages? Cheat.
Yes, of
course.
So
you read it more quickly. Yeah, just I think you've just got to soak all that up.
Yeah, no, you rush through bedtime and then one night they go, all right, good night.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, we're not doing the whole thing?
Yeah.
And it's gone forever. And then in that moment you will feel a profound sadness and you will wonder what the fuck you rushed through those other ones for. Yeah. So you could answer emails or watch something on Netflix. Like when I think about that impulse of let's speed this along, how rarely is it ever for their benefit? I tell myself, you have to go to bed. You know, what you're going to, it's not like they have a presidential debate the next morning. You know, like they could be tired the next morning. Who cares? Right, like none of it matters. But so what is it that I feel like I'm having to rush through to go do? And it never ages well. Whatever the thing was, it never ages well.
Exactly.
It was like, oh, there was something on the counter that I wanted to eat. You know? Or it's like there's something I wanted to watch. Yep. There was a phone call I was going to make. It's never important.
Right.
And then you're rushing through a thing that you never get back.
And now I'm getting, I have to remind them to say goodnight.
Yeah.
Because they like to go in and like do their own thing.
There's a passage in Meditations where Marcus Aurelius says, you know, when you tuck your child in at night, you should say to yourself, they will not survive till the morning. And this is a man who buried 6 children. So I don't think he's saying this glibly. And I don't think he's trying to practice some kind of monkish philosophical detachment from his child. I think he's trying to say, you only get so many of these. Why are you, if you knew this was the last time you were going to do it, how would you do it?
Exactly.
And it would not be to skip some of the pages in the book.
Yeah.
It would not be to come on.
Right.
You know? Like I try to go like, he wants me to get him something. That's wonderful. Do you know what like I am getting it for him because I love them. Yeah. And they are giving me a chance to do it again.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you get them down and you sneak out of the room and you're like, oh. And then you hear
tap, 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 tap.
And you're like, there's the first impulse is, God damn it. You know? And then the second impulse, I try to will myself to say, I get to do it again.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'd still prefer to go to sleep, but I get to do it again.
Yeah.
You know, and there's something about that.
I think there's a reason why the Go the Fuck to Sleep was such a big hit. And they always come back out when I'm in the middle of a snack that I probably shouldn't be having.
Yes.
Like their Halloween candy or something, you know.
Yeah, yeah. What are you, what? Yeah, you know?
Yeah. I'm like, I knew you did that. You put me to sleep and you sit up here and eat ice cream. Yes, I do. That is right. But,
so I feel like that gift your mother gave you of saying, hey, like I forgive you, don't feel all, that's in a way the definition of grace.
Exactly. Because she very naturally, you know, you see the best in people and you place the love first and you never exploit a weakness as opposed to, I knew you never, valued me. I knew you never recognized this, that, and the other. Like, you know, a lot of people get vindictive at the point of death. So to be able to say, you know what, there's just so much love there, take that
Yeah.
and keep going.